So, one of the important lessons that all of us are learning or have been learning in recent years is that you can run, but you can't hide. Okay. Um, Public policy and economics are a part of our lives, whether we're actively understanding that and participating in it or not. Okay. Uh, if I'm sitting in my house, doing whatever, watching football, or there's somebody out there passing laws and making policies that will affect me. They'll affect my family, my children, our future, our society, our institutions. And then I walk out the door and I find crap. Our society is falling apart. Okay. I mean, this is literally what has happened, like in the last, 40 years of economic neoliberalism. Okay, it had a specific agenda of privatization, deregulation, and private ownership of things that used to be public institutions. Okay, so again, you can run, but you can't hide. Okay, it's out there. It's going to happen, and we need to understand. Okay, so I mean, what does it mean to be political? I mean, we are political beings. We're socially connected. Uh, we're connected to each other, and we are connected to our public institutions. We live under a system of agreed upon rules that affect us and that connect us and that dictate, how we live. Um, and so, whether you're talking about, public administration or something like economics, okay, is there. Okay, you can try to check out, but it's still going on. And when you step out your door and get in your car and you're getting in traffic to go to your job, and your job isn't paying as much as you think it should be, and you're working to produce profits that go to somebody else, and then they take their profits and they go buy your politicians. Okay, so economics and public policy are dictating your life, whether you like it or not. So, we have to confront this, all right? Because, civilizations live or die by good and bad policy. Um, and the thing is that a single good policy, okay, like universal health care, okay, it makes the entire society better. So you make one law, and then boom, you're improving the lives of millions of families, okay, which improves the entire society. Same thing with education, all right? We need a much better education system here in the United States. But then when it comes specifically to Muslims, then, all right? So, I mean, I've been here 30 years, okay? So most Muslims arrived with the idea that, well, I mean, most Muslims arrived honestly not knowing Islam and also not knowing the Western system. So they really didn't have, okay, like an idea of, how we're going to function in this society. But, um, but there was also the mistaken notion that, well, I'm a believer in the Quran and the Sunnah, and so I can't have anything to do with kafir politics. Okay, which is, I mean, it's a baseless, you know, thing. But uh, so now, with Islamophobia, and then honestly, the things that affect, like, the cost of college education, that affects Muslims too, right? Climate and environmental damage and poisoning and destruction, it affects Muslims too. And Islam actually speaks to these things. And so it is a part of our deen to engage. Um, so but then we have not just these things that are universal to all of us and beyond our community. You know, of course, the issues of the never-ending wars that the military, industrial, and surveillance policing complex, corporations, and all their goons, the CIA and the Pentagon and the NSA, et cetera, you know, get to make money off of killing Muslims. Um, but we have to develop the idea of policy within our community also, all right? Because again, anytime you have a collective, and like here in Dallas Fort Worth, we've got, you know, I'm just throwing a number out. I don't know that there's a census, but say 200,000 Muslims. So if we have a community policy, um, it could either be harming our community and our Islam and, for 200,000 Muslims, or we could have a community policy that benefits all of us. And it's just a matter of determining a single policy. Okay. And so if you have 10 policies, right, like, this country was built on, originally a 10 Bill of Rights with 10 amendments. And each one of those is extremely important to how the overall society functioned and maintained, some degree of democracy. But again, you have to have political intelligence and public involvement, or you lose your system, which is what's happening now. But then in the Muslim community, okay, to rectify the current condition, where to me, like the masajid are a massive failure on so many levels, because our community loses 90% of the converts, 90% of the youth. Okay, that's failure. You don't take a 90% loss and say, "Oh, Islam is winning." Okay, or you're like stoned. Okay, we can't be stoned Muslims. We have to, you know, face reality. But in our community, then, what I discovered in recent years is we don't have a leadership council, a functioning leadership council here. Okay, 200,000 Muslims, over 65 masajid, and no leadership council, and that's why I just developed my own concept of the leadership council, and I've written on it, and it's based in Islamic history, going all the way back to Umar ibn Khattab, and it's based on Islamic principles, and it's also based on the Islamic science, on social sciences. We got to develop that, and we've got to start developing policy because our community is in a state of chaos and failure. All right, so we got to have like the right kind of brainy people step up for this to get our community organized and focused, set some priorities, and also to make sure that we are maintaining some objectivity in the priorities of Allah's deen. Because if we ignore that, we're hurting ourselves, because we can be as successful as we think we are, and then we go to Allah Yawm al-Qiyamah to find out, oh my God, we left out, the 10 most important things in Islam in our community, and there you have, oops, we failed. But we're talking about the future of Islam here, and the window of opportunity is closing because of the things that we see happening socially with the rise of right wing things going on, and I mean they're in power, and the potential for fascism and the targeting of Muslims, and the thing is that every year leads to 10 years, and 10 years is like a loss of a generation of Muslim youth. Okay, 10 years is about what it takes for our community to lose the interest of 90% of converts. Okay, so 10 years makes a lot of difference, and every day makes a lot of difference. Okay, so these are things we got to get on. Okay, now. All right. So please check out my other videos and share. Okay, and connect. Okay, let's get together. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.